I was 29 when my sister learned I made six figures and decided that meant I didn't need boundaries. 7 years later, I finally learned she was right about the boundaries part. Not the money, I'm Lauren Vega, 36, senior UX designer for a remote firm out of Austin. Divorced. One kid, 14-year-old Nico, who still eats cereal like it's a sport. Salary, $128,000 plus a year-end bonus that used to vanish before January because someone in my family always had a crisis. It started small. 100 here, a few hundred there. Brooke needed to bridge the gap on her car payment. Mom's dental work came faster than insurance approval. Dad's truck blew a gasket, and you're the only one with good credit, honey. I didn't think of it as enabling, I called it love. When I wired money, Mom would text a string of heart emojis. Brooke would post, family over everything. And I would sit in my one-bedroom condo, laptop glowing. Believing I was keeping the peace, Brooke was always the charmer. 2 years older, loud, magnetic, perpetually the center of every barbecue, wedding, or meltdown. She married a man named Randy, who called himself an entrepreneur, which was Southern shorthand for chronically unemployed but full of ideas. They had two kids, a mortgage that made no sense, and a backyard pool that leaked. Every December, they threw parties like they were auditioning for reality TV. Meanwhile, I bought secondhand furniture and pretended minimalism was a design choice. When my marriage ended, I moved to Austin, started over, and promised myself I'd stop financing other people's bad decisions. But guilt is a language my family speaks fluently. Mom would sigh and say, "You're so lucky, baby. You work from home. You don't even have commute gas." Dad would remind me, "We paid for your braces. You turned out great." Brooke didn't bother with subtlety. "You make more in a month than we do in a quarter, Lore. Don't be stingy." So I kept paying. 7 years, rent help, hospital copays, new tires, vet bills, even Brooks Electric when Randy's marketing startup fizzled. If I tallied it all, it would have matched a down payment on a second house. But I never kept track, because keeping score meant admitting it was unfair. The call that changed everything came last spring, 3 days before Brooks' 40th birthday. She was breathless, rehearsed, already defensive. "Mortgage is late again, Randy's waiting on a client check. Just float us this one, okay? You know I always pay you back." She said that last line so fast I almost laughed. It had been a year since she'd repaid a cent I told her I'd think about it. She said, "Don't think, family helps family," and hung up before I could answer. I wired the money anyway, $3,200. Then I spent the next 48 hours furious at myself. When Saturday came, Nico and I drove to their house for the party. He'd built Brooke a picture frame out of cedar slats from our garage, a collage of us as kids, carved edges smooth, polished with linseed oil. He wrapped it in craft paper tied with twine. Their backyard was a Pinterest war zone, rented tents, folding tables covered in teal cloth, a margarita bar, two heat lamps even though it was 80 degrees music loud enough to rattle the fence. Brooke stood near the pool in a white sundress that probably cost half the mortgage she hadn't paid. She squealed when she saw us. "There's my rich little sister." The joke hit like a slap. People laughed. Nico's ears turned red. We handed her the frame. She tore the paper open, frowned, blinked twice. "Oh, handmade. Cute." She set it on the concrete next to a pile of tissue paper. The corner dipped into spilled margarita mix. Mom chuckled from her chair. "He's creative, just like his aunt." Dad nodded like that fixed it. Randy shouted something about the brisket, and I realized nobody there saw it as cruel. Nico looked at me, waiting for rescue. I said, "We should head out, homework." He nodded, silent. In the car, he asked, "Did she not like it?" "She's just stressed," I lied. He looked out the window the rest of the drive. 2 days later, Brooke called again. She decided to refinance through a smaller lender, needed me to co-sign to lock a lower rate. I said no. Her voice sharpened. "What's the big deal? It's just paperwork." "It's my credit," I said. "And you barely use it?" That was the moment the switch flipped. I told her flatly, "Brooke, I'm done. No more transfers, no more loans, no more signatures." She laughed like I was joking. "You've said that before." This time, I mean it. Silence. Then the soft, poisonous line she'd learned from Mom. "Wow, guess success really changed you." It hadn't. It just sobered me up. That night, I logged into my bank app and canceled the automatic rent transfer I'd been sending to our parents since 2018. $900 every month to keep them from worrying about bills. My finger hovered over the button, then I pressed disable. Confirmation pinged. For the first time in years, the number next to available balance felt like mine. Brooke texted me at 6 a.m. the next morning. You serious about cutting mom and dad off? I didn't answer. By noon, mom called crying. She said I was punishing them for no reason. Dad added, You know your sister's going through a rough patch? I said, We've all been living in a rough patch for a decade. Then came the guilt campaign. Texts, calls, Facebook posts about ungrateful daughters who forget where they came from. Relatives commenting hearts and prayers. I muted the thread. The first missed mortgage payment hit Brooke's credit before the end of the month. Then the next. By summer, she was 3 behind. When the foreclosure notice arrived, she forwarded me the PDF with one line. Do something, I replied. Not my name, not my problem. That's when she showed up at my office. It was a Tuesday, client sprint review day. I came down for coffee, and there she was by the parking gate, hair frizzed, face streaked from crying, waving a stack of papers. You're really gonna let me lose my house? She shouted. People stopped walking. I said quietly, Yes, Brooke, because it's not my house. Security escorted her off the lot. My hands shook through the rest of the meeting. The next day, HR asked me to come in. Apparently, my mother had emailed the company saying I was emotionally unstable and retaliating against family. I showed them the messages, they documented everything, and flagged my account in case of future harassment. That evening, I drove to pick up Nico from art class. He got in the car holding a new project. Wooden box, simple dovetail corners, no paint yet. Made it for Grandma, he said. I didn't have the heart to tell him not to. 3 weeks later, the bank auctioned Brooke's house. Sold for $316,000 to a couple from Round Rock. They posted photos on Zillow before she'd even moved out. The wreath Nico helped her hang still on the door. She texted, Hope you're proud. I wasn't. I was tired. When Mom and Dad moved in with her, the calls started again. The duplex they rented was cheap, old, and due for repairs. Mom asked for help with the deposit. I said no. You'd really let us live like this? I'm not letting anything happen. I said, I'm just not stopping it anymore. They blocked me on Facebook. I slept better that night. By winter, Brooke had filed for bankruptcy. Her husband disappeared to work construction in Houston. Mom set up a GoFundMe titled Family Hardship. Please help us rebuild. The cover photo was me at my old college graduation. Caption, Our daughter cut us off after getting rich. A coworker sent me the link. I reported it for impersonation. It vanished within a day. After that, the silence grew teeth. Weeks went by without contact. Then, one night in February, pounding hit my door at midnight. Nico woke up screaming through the peephole. Brooke, mascara streaked, phone in hand, yelling, You ruined everything. I called 911. Officers arrived, calm, efficient. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no, just a restraining order. The court granted 300 yards. She signed under protest, eyes swollen. 2 days later, Mom called from a new number. You had her arrested. She's your sister. No, I said. She arrested herself the moment she threw away respect. Click. After that, I changed numbers, upgraded the locks, installed a video doorbell. Nico slept with a nightlight for a month. Then came the letter. A year passed. Work promoted me to lead UX. Nico joined the school robotics club, then woodworking again. Life settled into the kind of quiet you don't notice until it's threatened. Then, one Tuesday morning, a letter arrived. Postmarked from San Antonio, no return address. Brooke's handwriting. Lore, I was angry. I still am, mostly at myself. I thought love meant bailing each other out. You taught me it's something else. Mom and Dad are with me. Things aren't good, but I don't blame you anymore. I read it twice, folded it, slipped it into the shredder. The sound was soft, final. That night, Nico handed me another project, a jewelry box, cedar with hidden hinges. He'd carved 2 words inside the lid. Lesson learned. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. I tucked the box on the shelf beside my monitor. My life was smaller now. Fewer calls, fewer crises, fewer false apologies. But it was mine. Peace doesn't shout. It hums like a clean machine. Steady and quiet. Family isn't a lifetime subscription. Blood can love you, but it can also invoice you. When you stop paying, you find out which kind you had.